This is 13 Minutes. I'm Elliot Reeves. My guest today is Andrew Johnson. Andrew, it's a pleasure to have you here. How are you?
Thank you, Elliot. Always a pleasure to get an invitation from yourself.
Oh, you're too kind. How are you keeping?
I'm really well, given the circumstances. I think entering week 6 or 7 of self-isolation, and eternally grateful for being able to work from home and share, digitally with people. So I've found that I've really been busy lately.
Yeah, you really have. The number of sort of live meditations and things that you've got going on is amazing.
Yeah, it's something that I had planned to do for many years actually, but this current situation has sort of propelled me to step slightly out of my comfort zone.
Yeah, it seems to have provided that opportunity for a lot of people actually. It's very cool.
Yes.
In a way, it's
Yes.
taking the good from the bad.
Yes, and I did a long interview earlier on today, and I was very careful to say I am very, very aware of what's going on in the world, and there's a lot of people suffering.
Mm-hmm. But
there are some really nice things happening, which is such a positive thing.
Absolutely. So tell me a bit about the lockdown situation at the moment. How have you been managing yourself, looking after your own mental health?
Well, curiously, I've been pushing myself too much.
Okay.
And it's only been in the last week that I've actually recognised it. I, like all of us, we're making do with where we are. So I'm aware that when I'm broadcasting and doing meditations, I'm not in the best seat and I'm not in the best position, but I'm, like many of us, we're communicating by Zoom and FaceTime and like today with Skype.
Mm-hmm.
But, and I have been aware that because there's so many opportunities to connect with people and to share my stuff, then that I've been really burning the candle at both ends.
Mm-hmm.
And it was only until about 3 days ago when I put on a pair of jeans for the first time in a couple of weeks, and I thought, oh, okay, I've been sitting still for too long.
I know that feeling.
And then I went to put on some shoes to go out to get some shopping, and I thought, why do I hurt so much bending down to put my shoes on? What is wrong with me? And then I thought, it's just, I haven't been taking the time to look after myself. So there was a big shift in the last week. I'm taking part in a coaching project at the moment and being coached by one of my peers in Edinburgh. And this has been the focus, and it's starting to have great effect.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's good.
So apart from that, I'm really missing people.
Yeah. Human contact.
Human contact. Yeah, I'm missing that general chit chat, and I'm reading with interest and I'm sure you've seen it as well, the number of people who are now reporting on what's generally termed as Zoom lag or Skype lag, where there's this wonderful ability we have with technology to communicate with one another, but it does have negative effects. It's a strangely exhausting way of communicating.
Someone posted that on, I think it was Gavin Bell put that on LinkedIn, that it just feels as though you've done way more in terms of, say you host a meeting in real life, it takes half the energy of doing it virtually.
Yes, and I guess the saving grace, the balance to that is that we're not having to travel to go
Yes.
to work.
Yeah.
I've got there's a one of my tech friends here in Edinburgh who does a lot of developing because he's not commuting, and it was never really that far, but he's saving almost 2 days a week in the time he would spend commuting to and from work.
Wow.
So he's now more productive, more relaxed, spending a lot more time with his kids, but he's almost doing in 3 days what he used to do in 5, giving him a great deal more. So there's all these little benefits coming out what is an awful situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, Andrew, I'm interested to get your thoughts on this. In what way do you think the world might change as a result of the lockdown situation and the global pandemic?
Well, I think the biggest change may be this transition from fossil fuels to renewables. I've got a friend down south who is and has been, I would imagine he's one of the leading experts in climate change.
Okay.
And I have to say that in the last 6 weeks, I've never seen him more positive about the changes that have been speeding up. There's a huge amount of big money pulling out of fossil fuels in the oil industry and getting into renewables. And what he was saying was when the big pension funds and the big insurance companies and all those hedge funds start to shift, it's really the tipping point. I think a lot of people will also be looking at this as a way to perhaps simplify their lives. In speaking to people all over the place, because I've got sort of people I connect with all over the world, there seems to be a general consensus that after this, there'll be a lot more thinking about how we spend our time, a lot less traveling, certainly international traveling, not just only for the health benefits, but I know that from talking to some business leaders out there, they're already starting to recognise that what they thought of as a trip to, let's say, from London to New York for a business meeting was never really the business. It was all about having a jolly. It was always about having a business perk, a bonus. And that little bubble seems to have burst now when we're all communicating like this rather than an 8-hour flight to do, much the same thing.
Yeah.
There's an awful lot of people spending more time with their families, and a lot of people perhaps reevaluating what they want to do for a career, which is good. On the other hand, there's a huge amount of people struggling because I know that what causes stress and anxiety is change and uncertainty.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's ever been a time where there's been so much change and uncertainty for such a high percentage of people.
Yeah, totally.
And it's happened so quickly that people have been caught on the hop.
Yeah.
So I have seen personally in my business, I've seen an upsurge in people reaching out to me for mental health resources like relaxation training and relaxation audio and meditation audios. I've seen people that I sort of crossed path with, 6 weeks ago, 6 months, 6 years ago, coming back to me and saying, I want to put in place resources for my industry. So I'm working in partnership with a couple of folk for the hospitality industry at the moment, donated some meditations to them. And when you talk to people in the hospitality industry, you think, my God, there's a sector that has really been hit hard.
Yeah.
And will potentially be the last one to reopen. So there's a lot of people stepping up to serve their communities, and it's not the same as reopening, but a lot of people are thinking about people's mental health, and that's a good sign.
Yes, absolutely. What specific change would you like to see come on the back of this? I should say, 13 minutes goes past pretty quickly. We're coming up to the 10-minute mark, so
Okay,
we'll need to advance things fairly quickly.
I'll shorten my answers. I would like to see us all shopping more locally. I would like to see very shorter supply chains.
Mm-hmm.
I think when you go down to Sainsbury's or whatever and pick up a packet of strawberries and it says from this country. That's just one example. I'm not basing that in fact, but I think we all know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
We need to shorten supply lanes, distribution.
Mm-hmm.
We need to watch how we're traveling, and we need to form greater strengths in our communities and talk to people more.
Yeah, 100%. Definitely. You're the perfect person to ask about this, I believe. If somebody out there at the moment is having an incredibly difficult time or struggling with things, what piece of advice would you give to them?
I would say try to find something that quietens your mind. We all distract ourselves with television and other tranquilizers. Food and drink and television and the news. I would say, first of all, stop watching the news as much as you do. And secondly, try to find some audio. And I'm not just saying this because I've got resources,
Of course.
but
No,
any
not at all.
audio that just takes you a little quieter into yourself and allows you to release tension
Yeah.
and quieten down the conscious mind. We are all, as humans, we are all on edge at the moment, and we're trying to find solutions. That's why for most people, when we meet like this, the conversation's about COVID, because we're all trying to figure something out. But that is exhausting.
Mm-hmm.
So taking away from it and spending time in quietness and stillness and in some form of meditation, even if you've never done it before, can be hugely beneficial.
Yeah, 100%. Like I'm going to do that after this. Actually, I'll go onto YouTube and search for just meditation music, most likely something ambient, and just sort of zone out, allow my mind to just do whatever it wants, but not attached to the thoughts themselves.
Yes.
And going back to what you said earlier, I mean, one of my mentors uses a quote that was Tony Robbins that said it: "The quality of your life is in direct proportion to the amount of uncertainty you can comfortably live with." Which is to say that currently, that what we consider to be uncertain at the moment is being expanded and stretched. But ultimately, we will probably come out of this better for it if we can take anything from it,
I hope so. And I think what's important is that the conversations about what changes we need should be continued once things start to loosen off. Because, again, like human beings, we're very resourceful, but we're also quite resilient. And we tend to forget what it used to be like a year ago or 6 months. And that conversation needs to keep being there in the forefront of our thoughts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's funny actually, because I think it was Craig Alley shared a post yesterday that was Matt Haig had said, I'm paraphrasing, but it was like, let's not have rose-tinted glasses and just pretend that everything before this was perfect, because it definitely wasn't.
No.
There's a lot of things that we can do to improve upon, So,
yeah, I'm constantly reminded of that phrase, and I wish I could do it justice, that from the very last episode of Blackadder, when he says to Baldric and the other chap, who would recognise another madman in this madness? And it's absolutely true. We are just being overwhelmed at the moment. And pre this, of course, there was nothing. We were all being tranquilised by Strictly Come Dancing and all the things that we took for. We were just being complacent about what was happening, watching the planet burn. So I think we all need to be a little more radical in our approach. Gentle to everyone, but radical in our approach to what changes can be made much quicker when we all put our mind to it.
Fantastic. I love that. Andrew, where can people find you?
If you put Andrew Johnson, JOHNSON, into search engine, you'll find my website, andrewjohnson.co.uk, and all the resources are there. I've got 8 of my best-selling meditations, 4 for adults and 4 for kids, available free to stream. And I did that at the start of this lockdown because I felt that it was so important that people had access to something.
Mm-hmm.
And I also wanted to make sure that I wasn't seen to be profiteering. So I don't even ask for email addresses. I just want to put them out there. And so if you're ever thinking of, there's one for sleep and positivity and anxiety and health, and 4 relaxation ones for children. So they're all there. You just press a button and listen. And if they suit you, just keep listening and they will help.
Love it. Andrew,
so that's it.
Yeah. Andrew, thank you so much for your time. It's been brilliant chatting with you.
Thank you, Elliot.
I feel like I've not seen you in ages, so I can't...
We need to catch up soon.
Yeah, well, when this is all over, it'll be the first...
This is all over.
It'll be high on the priority list.
Yeah, we'll go for a lemonade somewhere.
Definitely. Andrew, look after yourself, my friend.
Thank you, Elliot.
Take care.
Pleasure to talk. Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.